Hello everyone, I am Naveen Kumar, Marketing and Business Development Manager from Aspiration Energy Private Limited. Aspiration Cleantech Ventures is a financing platform that connects investors and customers across multiple asset classes in the cleantech sector. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you all for the live webinar on how to reduce your energy bills without making any investments. Let me give you a short introduction about Mr. Madhavan Nampoothiri, Managing Partner, Aspiration Cleantech Ventures, who is the speaker today. Mr. Madhavan Nampoothiri is an energy and environment professional with more than 15 years of cross-functional management experience in clean energy and fossil fuel industries. His experience spans 4 countries across 3 continents in public sector and private sector companies, including Fortune 500 firms and startups. His work encompasses finance, technology, and policy. His opinions have appeared in New York Times, Bloomberg, Economic Times, The Hindu Business Line, and so on. He is regularly invited to speak on clean energy, renewable energy at international events like the European Heat Pump Summit, Solar Praxis, Intersolar, and so on. It's time for me to hand over the session to Mr. Madhavan Nampoothiri. Over to Madhavan sir. Madhavan sir, you can proceed please.
Thank you very much, Naveen. So first of all, I would welcome each one of you on behalf of Aspiration Cleantech Ventures. As Naveen already mentioned, Aspiration Cleantech Ventures is a group company of Aspiration Energy. And I can see some of our customers I can see some of the customers of Aspiration Energy. So I don't think we need a lot of introduction. But still, Aspiration Cleantech Ventures, as Naveen said, is predominantly an ESCO or an asset owner, wherein the company invests in the projects and gets into a long-term energy service contract. So I will explain that more in detail in some of the slides that I'm going to present today. So what I will do is I have a presentation which I will complete in about 15 minutes or so, and after that we can have question and answers. So I would like to have this session more as an interactive session rather than just a presentation. So that's why I kept my slides short. So it's better to have a Q&A to clear the doubts. And I think that's how this could be more productive. So with that, I will just I will share my screen. Okay, so I will start the presentation then. So I will first get into a quick overview of ESCO Services. So ESCO Services, I mean the name ESCO means Energy Services Company. So which means that the company offers energy services, not equipments or not the products, but rather the company offers services in the form of energy sale or energy purchase contracts. So now, why is the need for an ESCO? So for that, we need to start with the customer. So what is a customer need an ESCO is going to address? For a customer, what will be an ideal situation? An ideal situation would be if the customer doesn't have to pay for a capex. They don't have to pay upfront for the installation cost. And second, there will be no performance risk, and still the customer gets consumer savings, and also there is no operation maintenance responsibilities for the customer. So this would be an ideal combination for a customer when deciding on installing and maintaining any energy-based device. So if I am a customer in some sense, and I would prefer to have something like this. I mean, even in like an Ola, in a consumer business, is pretty much the same example. I don't have to own a car. I don't have to worry about maintaining a car. I don't even have to worry about driving it. I just pay for basically the usage. If I don't want, I'm not going to use it. So that way, I'm not investing. I'm not locking my money of, let's say, 5-6 lakhs or 10 lakhs, whatever. I can use that for some other purpose rather than blocking it. And I don't have to worry. I just use. I may be paying a little bit more when I use it, but that is still going to be much cheaper over a lifetime of a car usage. So this is something very similar in that the customer ends up using only for what they. They pay only for what they use, with the OPEX cost and the capex cost outsourced to someone else, even the performance risk outsourced to someone else. So just like in a car, where if I'm not owning a car and I'm using only Ola, I don't have to worry about car repair or every 3 months taking to the workshop. I don't have to worry about any of those things. Say this is something very similar. So from a concept perspective, it's very simple. All the things that the customer doesn't want to do, that is done by someone else, like an Ola. In this case, Aspiration Cleantech Ventures is like an Ola. So we own the asset, we own or invest in the equipment and maintain it, and we also guarantee savings. Whereas the ESCO, that is us, we enter into a contract with the customer for a period of time determined by the economics of the project, and the resulting energy savings is shared between the two parties, which is the ESCO, us, and the customer. It is shared based on a mutually agreed proposition. So here, this gives you a visual perspective, like how it works. So typically in any project, or in this particular type of project, there are three parties. One is the end user or the consumer, and then there is a technology vendor, a technology partner who provides the technology. And finally, there is the asset owner or the Aspiration Cleantech Ventures. So we get into, or the Aspiration Cleantech Ventures owns the asset and enters into a long-term contract with the consumer. And the consumer pays for the usage on a monthly basis. This will be backed by a proper power savings contract. Whereas when it comes to the consumer doesn't have to worry about technology selection or getting into bidding or getting quotes from customers. They don't have to worry about any of those things. They only pay for the power they consume or for the power that they save, energy that they save. And when we say technology partner, Aspiration Cleantech Ventures is into all type of energy savings devices and is not restricted to heat pumps or any particular technology. We are into all type of services. So that is a broad structure. So wherein there are three parties, including the consumer, technology partner, and the ESCO, which is Aspiration Cleantech Ventures. Now, when it comes to executing this contract, this is a pretty unique concept in the sense the asset is owned by the ESCO, whereas the asset is sitting in the premises of the customer. So it means that both the parties have a lot of responsibilities to each other. So unlike in a capex project where the job of a technology vendor or the technology or the manufacturer, for that matter, ends the moment the last payment is paid to them. So after that, they don't have to worry. I mean, they don't have much responsibility unless they have to service the warranty or if they have an annual maintenance contract. So in this particular case, both the parties, the ESCO and the customer, have responsibilities to each other till the end of the contract. So when it comes to ESCO, the responsibility is to invest and own the equipment during the contract period. And the ESCO is also responsible for the operation maintenance during this period. So this includes the preventive maintenance, periodic maintenance, condition-based monitoring, if any, and also spares management and replacement. And at the end of the contract, the ESCO transfers asset to the customer at a mutually agreed price, which is typically agreed upfront, and it is already incorporated into a contract. On the customer side, the customer, if you look at the entire cycle, the first step is to conduct an energy audit to assess the potential, whether the feasibility of a particular energy saving device. So the customer has to help the ESCO in doing an energy audit and also permit the ESCO during the installation O&M of the device, and of course keep intimating the ESCO whenever there are failures, because there won't be any professional or any personnel of of the ESCO sitting in the premises all the time. It is only a maintenance contract. So if there are any breakdowns that happen, it is the responsibility of the customer to intimate the ESCO immediately. And finally, as per the contract, there will be monthly payments, which has to be paid on at a particular date, on or before a particular date. So these are the responsibilities to each other. So again, coming to the process flow, it works in such a way that after the feasibility of a device is established. So when I say feasibility, it includes both the technical feasibility as well as the commercial feasibility. Once both of the same are established, and then both the parties agree to enter into a contract. So both the parties get sign a contract, and following after the contract is signed, the ESCO will do the delivery of the equipment and also do the installation at the customer premises. And once after the commissioning of the project, the customer starts paying the ESCO the monthly payment, which is described in the contract as to how much every month has to be paid. Because since this is not it can be a fixed contract, or it could be based on a particular savings ratio. So savings ratio or a particular number. So the payments will be based on a mutually agreed savings every month. So for that, there will be energy meters or measuring devices, which will be used to arrive at a particular number, arrive at a particular savings number, and also the particular monthly payment. And during the contract period, the fourth step will be during the contract period, the O&M will also be done by Aspiration Cleantech Ventures or the ESCO. So after the tenure, the contract can either be extended, or the customer can buy the contract at the residual pricing, which is typically only 10% of the entire project value. So what are the benefits to the customer? So customer just has to make the customer is saving an investment of 90% of the project value. And there are also positive savings. So since the investment is made by the ESCO, the risk of the asset is on the ESCO. So the customer can get the benefits in terms of the positive savings even after paying for the accrued savings. So there is a monthly payment to the ESCO, but the contract will be structured in such a way that the customer gets a benefit even after paying the ESCO. So and the customer doesn't have to worry about maintenance and also about the equipment failure, which is the responsibility of the ESCO. And then, of course, the environmental benefits will be there is a reduction in the energy demand or reducing the energy consumption, and of course contributing to the green earth without any investment. So here of course, if the responsibilities of both the parties are properly met, this will be a win-win situation for everyone. So this will include reduced energy consumption, reduced energy cost, reduced pollution, and also improvement in the environment quality. So in terms of requirements, we as ESCO or Aspiration Cleantech Ventures, we look at a minimum project size of 15 lakhs. We need some kind of energy audit done before, which we will verify and which we will do again to validate the numbers. And then the credit rating of the customer is also important, because finally the project will have some component financed by banks, this is mainly from the bank's requirement perspective. And then the system utilization factor to assess. So there will be a minimum consumption guarantee from the customer side and a minimum generation guarantee from the ESCO side. So in order to arrive at this number, we also need the data as to what is a projected utilization factor for the particular equipment. And of course, the contract, this is more of a thumb rule. This is not the exact numbers. These are more like indicative numbers, wherein if it's the percentage of energy savings will depend upon a lot of factors. So one of the factor is the cost of the equipment, and the second will be more like a residual value, and the third will be the contract duration. So the shorter the contract, the energy savings to the customer will be smaller, but the asset will be transferred to the customer very, very quickly. So after the third year, the entire saving, 100% of the savings will go to the customer. Whereas if it is a longer duration contract, of course there will be more sharing that the customer can get, but the residual value at the end will be much lesser. So, so this is only indicative. So this will differ from case to case. As I said, because of the utilization factor, because of the size of the equipment, and so on and so forth. So that is broad. These are the broad framework that is used for an ESCO. And of course, we have this is more like a marketing pitch for ourselves, like Cleantech Ventures and our group companies. We have been active in the space for more than 10 years now, and we have been able to get the confidence of a lot of customers, and mainly in automotive, hospitality, healthcare, chemicals, and a few others. And about the company, as I already mentioned, so we are a part of Aspiration Systems, which is a more than 20-year-old company, and also Aspiration Energy, which is an 11-year-old renewable energy company, and also Telesolar. And we have got multiple awards, but that's more for just a validation. So, and of course, this is run by me and Mr. Thirumalai, the Aspiration Cleantech Ventures. And my profile, Naveen had already shared at the beginning. So yeah, so that's about it. So I would then open the floor for questions.
Good evening, sir. This is Yogesh from TVS Motor.
Yeah, hello, sir. How are you?
Yeah, fine, sir. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I just like to know, is there any agreement before conducting this energy audit, or will be?
No, there won't be agreement before audit. So
is there any charges?
Sorry, 1 minute.
Is there any charges for carrying out this energy audit?
Yeah, so there'll be an audit. There'll be a separate, but we don't get into agreement before audit. So the audit will be a separate process. So it can either you can do it yourself and share the details with us, or if we have to do, there'll be a small nominal charge for that, which covers our expenses. But we get into a contract only after both of us agree that there is a potential for making an investment in that particular project. So the payback is good enough to cover the investments.
Fine. So what type of audit can you do for us? Is there any specialist?
No, so that depends upon what type of energy savings project that you are looking at. So if you are talking about some kind of project on the thermal side, which is either cooling or heating, then that will be done by our own team, which is the Aspiration Energy team. So we will do the audit ourselves. If it is something else, let's say a variable frequency drive or some kind of electric device or HUs or something else, and even chillers we can do ourselves, or any other device, then we have our own consultants who can help us in conducting the audit and giving a report. So we have a tie-up with IIT Madras. There is a team working in IIT Madras. So we take the help of the team to do the energy audits.
Sir, one more question from customer side. May I know why ASPCV is not investing 100% in the project?
Yes, I got it. Now, this is the reason for that is it has to do has something to do with accounting rules and regulations. So earlier we were permitted to invest 100%, but now because of the way it is treated as either as a financial lease or as an operational lease, we are permitted to do only 90%. We're only permitted to invest only 90% of the project cost. The rest of it has to be done by the customer. So we are not an NBFC or we are not a lending agency, because of which we have this restriction.
One more question is, what are the main parameters to determine the savings, or can you define the steps post-energy audit and criteria for selection?
Okay. I think that's a great question. Very important question. The parameters for determining saving is that first of all, we need to see the current system. So there's something called baselining. So we need to first assess the current consumption, energy consumption of a particular device. And then obviously, so one is the consumption itself on a, let's say, hourly basis or a daily basis. And the second very important part is also the capacity utilization. So how many hours the particular device runs in a particular day. So the more the number of hours a device runs, the better it is, because the energy consumption will be more. Based on these two factors, we arrive at a total volume of total energy consumption during a particular period. Let's say these contracts are typically done over a 1 year period. So for a 1 year period, so we look at a daily capacity utilization, and also we also look for any particular seasonal variation. So for example, if it's an automotive company or some company which has a seasonality in terms of production scheduling, then that has to reflect in this particular sizing, because it's very important for us to size the entire system. The more accurate the data we have, the better the sizing of the system will be. And once we have, and the sizing is very important, because that will help us. That will help us estimate the value of the project, the capex value of the project. What is the investment size of the project? And once we estimate the size of the system and calculate the value of the investments, and then after that we will be able to say whether the project makes sense commercially, whether it is economically viable, whether the paybacks will be sufficient to pay for the investments over a particular period of time, or the return requirements that we have. And while doing this also, we will also be able to know whether it's technically feasible as well, because in some sites it could be possible that there may not be enough space to make a change, or there could be some other constraints in the site which makes it technically not so viable. So for example, there could be some piping. Let's say if it's some kind of heat pump technology, and there is a piping required, and there is a huge distance in piping. The piping length is very high, which leads to energy losses. So we need to look at those aspects as well, the technical feasibility as well as the financial feasibility. And once
asset maintenance charges you collect, what will be the asset maintenance charges you collect?
So there is no separate asset maintenance charge, because this will be part of the payment that we collect. There is only one payment that we collect from the customer, which is agreed upon. So that the cost of all the maintenance and management of the asset is already included in the cost of the power, or the cost of the energy saving, that is already included.
So one more question is, have you executed any projects so far under ESCO model?
Yes, we have. So we have executed. So some of the. So I can give the examples of two projects. So one was commissioned way back in 2013. So that's our oldest project. So we are one of the pioneers when it comes to ESCO. So that is a 5-year project for a solar thermal system for a company in the TVS group. So it's actually Wheels India. So wherein we installed a solar thermal system, and they paid the contract was for 5 years, and that ended last year. That contract got over last year. And the second example I can give is a heat pump system, which we did for Lucas TVS in Chennai. That was commissioned in 2017, and it's currently operating successfully. It's into the third year, and we've been able to do it we've been able to deliver a lot of savings for the customers, much more than what we initially estimated. I think there is also a question on minimum size of the
project.
Yeah, so the minimum size, as I mentioned, the PPT, we do, in terms of monetary value, we typically look at anything more than 15 lakhs. Of course, if it's an exception, we make exceptions on a case-to-case basis, but in general, it is anything above 15 lakhs. Yeah, so that's the minimum size we are looking at. And I think there is one more question.
What is the size of the project executed for Wheels India and Lucas TVS?
So these are one of the projects is more than it's almost 2 crore. One is a 2 crore value, and the other one is about 1.5 crore value, project value. LPD. LPD is liters per day. So that's more for solar. Okay, so that was specific to solar water, or not solar, but any water heating systems. So it is only very specific example, but it can be something else also.
Please quantify size of project in steam volume or hot water.
Yeah, in terms of kilowatt size, I can tell you it is a heat pump system of more than 250 kilowatt. But just give me a minute for the hot water volumes. 1 second. Yeah, I think it's about 1.3 lakh liters per day.
Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. Okay, so thank you all for attending the webinar. We are closing now. Thank you, Madhavan sir, and thank you, attendees. Thank you.
Yeah, if you have any further questions, you can send an email to Naveen. So if you have if you need much more specific details about the projects, I can do that.